welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing my Q&A, finally. I'm just gonna go through all the questions that you guys left for me and I will answer them. If you are not following me yet on Instagram, I will pop it up on the screen because I've been posting almost every day just about maybe like my garden, my keto meal, organizing. My spring and summer capsule wardrobe is coming up soon, so make sure you check that out because I just really like Instagram and I think you would too. Let's go ahead and start. I will start with the one question that I got on Instagram, and it was, how easy did I find switching over to keto? And it was actually mostly easy, I would say, but that's only because I came from a background of already eating paleo-based and whole foods. And so it was actually, I guess, switching to paleo that would have been more of a challenge for me because I was just eating the regular, like, standard American diet. I was very overweight. I was 40 pounds overweight. And so I gradually switched over. I went gluten-free first, and then I started going like dairy-free and grain-free before I switched over to paleo. So I was eating paleo for, I think, about 3 or 4 years maybe before I even found keto. And at first, I didn't want to make the switch because the standard keto that I saw like had a whole bunch of dairy in it and processed foods, and I just didn't believe in that. So when I first found keto, I was like, yeah, I'm never gonna do that. Like, that is not good for you. But then when I found the keto that I'm doing now, where it's whole foods based and mostly dairy free, then that's when I started doing that, and I just dove into it. I'm one of those people where like I just have to dive right in. Like, I'm not going to, take a really long time to think about it if I know that it's something that I want to do. I had ended up getting the one like keto diet book and cookbook, which is written by Leanne Vogel, and it's like the way that I follow it. And I followed her meal plan for the first month. And so it was easy since I was following a meal plan and I didn't have to count macros, because I've never really counted macros before until I went keto. So that was good because at first I was a little overwhelmed and I was like, I don't want to sit here and count everything that goes into my mouth. Like, don't want to do that. I was glad to follow a meal plan. And then I just saw the weight falling off. I just saw all these health benefits. And so I just, it stuck. Like, when you see things working and you feel better, it's a lot easier to stick to them. So I hope that answered your question on how easy it was for me to switch over to keto. Since I love the lifestyle, I just continue it. Now I'm gonna head on over to the questions that you guys left on my actual YouTube channel. The first one is by Minimal Michelle, and she asked what my top 5 books are of all time. Now, this one's a little hard. I don't know if I have 5 whole books that I really like. I'll have to go through them and see, but I only just started reading a lot last year. So last year I had made a goal to read 12 books the whole year. I was like, 1 book a month should be doable, and I ended up finishing the year with 60 books that I read. So I got back into reading, and if you love reading also, I actually have a book group on Facebook. I'll leave the link down below, and there's almost 400 members in there, and we do book discussions and we vote on books and we do fun games and trivia and giveaways and all that kind of stuff. I found just a lot of like book friends through there, and it makes me keep wanting to read. So my goal this year is to read 75 books by the end of the year. Right now I think I'm only at like 15, but in the summer I'll have a lot more time to read them. For the last few years that I've been reading books, I would say my #1 favorite is Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. Like, if you love thrillers and suspense, I don't think I've read a book faster than I've read that book. Like, it was absolutely amazing, and it was so different from all the other like thrillers and like suspense that I had read. It was really refreshing, so it was awesome. Love that book, highly recommend it. Another book that I really, really love is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. And I read it without realizing it, that it was like a sci-fi thriller, and I thought I wasn't really into sci-fi, and I guess it has a little bit of dystopia, feel in it, but it was amazing. I also read that in like one day. It was fantastic. I highly recommend that book. Also, even if you're not a big sci-fi fan, I loved it. It was awesome. I am a huge lover of Colleen Hoover. If you've not read her books, they are like in the romance category, but it's not like cheesy romance, and it's not like 50 Shades of Grey or anything like that. It's just like amazing love stories. It's almost like, it kind of reminds me, I never read The Notebook, but just kind of like those feel-good romantic stories. And so my favorite books of hers are, I love November 9. If you can only pick one, read November 9. And then my second favorite of hers is Confess. But I actually, a lot of them aren't at the library, so I haven't read her other ones. So those are just my two favorite at the moment. I really did enjoy Big Little Lies by Leanne Motry. I forget what the author is. But anyway, Big Little Lies is pretty popular. And that one was actually really good as well. I had taken a bunch of books to the beach last year, and I remember like this book was huge and I just flew right through it. It was pretty awesome because it kind of was filled with like some drama, some thriller, that kind of thing. So I think those are my top 5 books. But now that I'm reading a lot more often, I feel like it's easy to like find another book that is also really good. Oh yeah, another book that's really good is Unwind. It's a dystopia book. It is amazing. It is very, very good. So add that to the list as well. I think that was 6 books, I guess. Yeah, 6 books. So the next question is from my friend Nelson, and he said, with my YouTube channel and with my job, how do I keep my house so clean and organized? And I guess the answer to that is I am a very clean and organized person. So to me, it's just something that like you do. Like my whole life we were raised where, you know, we always cleaned on certain days. Like it wasn't, you just didn't let it get far behind. So I feel like it's easier for me to clean and organize and keep it all together just because I do it so often, so it doesn't take very long. But I usually do like a tidy up and maybe like a dish-free sink and make the bed, things like that every single day, just because when I tidy up, like it just, you know, I feel more productive than throughout the day. And then maybe once a week or every 1.5 weeks, I'll do like my big clean, which is like dusting and vacuuming, washing the dog. I do wash like our sheets and towels like every week. So I just kind of like made a schedule and I just stick to it. But I think the reason it's easy for me to stick to it is just because I really dislike clutter and I really dislike a dirty house. I think that's my motivation, is to like keep it clean because it makes me feel good and it makes me feel more productive. Now, next question is from my friend Trevor, and he said, what made me start my YouTube channel? So I've always been a big fan of like teaching and training people, whether it be in my job or even just my friends that look up to me. And so I've been using like Facebook or Instagram for the last however many years to share like my paleo lifestyle and then my keto lifestyle. And then with me getting into just being more organized and being more of a minimalist, one of my friends had said like, hey, you should totally start a YouTube channel. And I thought about it because like I actually did really like watching YouTubers, but I thought, you know, I would never be able to do that. Like I can't put the time in. I know nothing about filming or editing. I don't know, the appeal was just there, like the appeal to just teach people and have people watch videos. And it's also easier to communicate, I feel like, through a video, because I've tried blogging before, but I'm just not, I don't feel like I'm that great of a writer. I would rather just feel like I'm talking to the actual person. So I decided to try it out and it actually just kind of stuck. Like I haven't been doing it for a full year yet, but I can see when I go back and look at my older videos and look at my videos now, I can see how much I've like improved. And so it makes me super excited to just see how much more I'm gonna improve and all the people that I'm helping. I love when everyone's commenting like on my actual channel. And so it just makes me wanna keep going. And I'm just so glad that I actually started a YouTube channel. It's scary at first and I'm glad that I like made the plunge, because then once you start doing it, it becomes easier and it's just way more fun. Next question is from actually my sister-in-law, Lindsay, and she said, how did I know that my husband Alvin was the one? And I had someone recently at my job ask me that same question, because we actually got married fairly quickly. I know that someone else asked the question of how old I was and how old my husband was, and just the story of like how we got together. So I'll just put all those questions into one. I am 25 years old. I'm going to be 26 at the end of May, and my husband is 23. He turned 23 in January. So I am older, but I would definitely say that my husband is a little bit more, I guess, mature in certain ways. He's like an old soul, and I'm more of the social media, like still kind of a teenager kind of thing sometimes. But the way that we met is that his best friend worked for me when I was a manager at a restaurant, and his friend had told me about him and was like, hey, like I have this friend, I think you might like him, blah, 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 whatever, whatever. And I had a lot of pretty, I guess, not so great relationships. I would always date these guys that didn't have their life together. And so I felt like I was always like trying to fix them or take care of them. And so I asked my husband's friend, and I was like, all right, well, tell me a little bit about him. Like, you know, does he work? Does he have a car? You know, all those good things you should ask. So I found out that he was the assistant manager of a movie theater, plus he was going to college full time. So I was like, yup, give him my number. We texted for a little bit, and then I think like 2 days later, we actually went out on our first like date. But since we were both working like full-time jobs and we were both managers, it was hard to kind of like pinpoint when to actually meet each other. So I decided to drive down. He was like an hour away from where I lived, and I drove down and I met him after work at midnight, and we went to IHOP just to sit and talk for coffee, because you know, when you do like a coffee date, then if you don't like the guy, you can just easily like, you don't have to finish the meal. Like, you just drink your coffee and go. So we had a coffee date, and we ended up staying and talking until 6 in the morning. It was crazy, and he had to go to class the next day, and I think I had to work, and oh my gosh, it was amazing because I felt like I had known him for a really long time. Like, I could just talk to him. Everything went so smoothly. And I told him exactly what I wanted. Like, I told him what I wanted in life, who I was, you know. I don't sugarcoat anything, I feel like. And so after that, like, we just kept talking and hanging out, and everything was just going so well. Like, I just saw such a difference in him. I actually saw like husband material in him. And so I don't know, we clicked, and it just seemed the right thing to do. I had him meet my family pretty much right away, and they all loved him. Like, my whole entire family just adores him so much. And we decided, we were like, you know what? We're not gonna sit here and date for a million years. Like, let's just get married. We did. We got married 6 months later. So we are coming up on our 3rd anniversary. And I do have to say that, you know, the first year is just a little challenging, getting, you know, living with somebody, getting to know them more. But it's really cool to see, because now that we have spent almost 3 years together, it's just like, I don't know, we like know how each other's gonna react to certain things. And it's just gotten, I don't know, our marriage is very strong. And I don't know. I am definitely going to be one of those people that says, if you think that it's right, like, go ahead and get married. You don't have to wait for forever. And I've met actually a lot of people now that have also said that they got married in like 6 months or 8 months, and they've been together for a really long time. Like, they've been married 10, 15, 20 years, whatever. And so that's always really encouraging, because I feel like the divorce rate is pretty high nowadays. And, you know, if you just get married for no reason, then that would be bad. But I feel like it was right. I don't know how to explain it. Like, you just know. And I know that's cliche, but I just knew. So I think I answered everyone's questions. And if you have any more questions and you want to leave them below, go ahead and do that, because I would love to do another Q&A. These are actually really fun. I love hearing from you guys, and I love being able to tell you my story. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.
Hey.